There's a specific moment almost everyone with nighttime anxiety knows intimately. The house goes quiet, the lights go off, and right when your body should finally be settling down, your mind does the exact opposite. It speeds up, thoughts arrive uninvited, one after another, the kind you had no time for all day, suddenly demanding your full attention at 11:47 p.m. If this happens to you, I want to tell you something clearly right at the start, before we go any further. This isn't a willpower problem. It isn't you being too much of a worrier. There is an actual, measurable, physiological reason your mind gets louder specifically at night, and almost nobody explains it to you in plain language. Tonight, I want to. Let's start with the hormone at the center of this, because I think once you understand it, a lot of confusing nighttime experiences suddenly make sense. Cortisol is often talked about like it's some kind of villain, but that's not quite accurate. Cortisol is a completely normal stress hormone your body needs. It's part of what gives you energy and alertness. Under a healthy pattern, cortisol follows a predictable daily rhythm. It's relatively high in the morning, helping you feel alert and ready to function, and it's supposed to decline steadily throughout the day, reaching its lowest point somewhere late at night, typically around midnight. That evening decline is part of what allows your nervous system to shift into arousal state, the state you need in order to fall asleep and stay asleep. Here's where it gets more specific and more relevant to what you're actually experiencing. When stress from the day goes unresolved, a conversation that ended badly, a work deadline still looming, a decision you haven't made yet, that stress doesn't just disappear because the sun went down. It can keep your cortisol elevated later into the evening than it shall naturally be. And an elevated cortisol level in the evening works directly against the arousal state your nervous system needs to wind down. Your body essentially is still partially in alert mode, even while you're laying still in a dark, quiet room. Your mind picking up speed at night isn't some separate, mysterious event happening independently of your body. It's your nervous system accurately reflecting a hormonal environment that isn't fully downshifted yet. I think this reframes something important. When people say my mind won't stop racing, they usually describe it like a mental problem. Too many thoughts, poor focus, needing to try harder to calm down. But what the research actually points to is closer to a physiological state that's producing those racing thoughts as a symptom, not a cause. The thoughts aren't creating the anxious state. The anxious, still partially activated nervous system is generating the thoughts. That's a meaningfully different starting point because it changes what actually helps. You can't outthink your way out of a hormonal state. You have to change the state itself. There's also something worth understanding about why night specifically tends to amplify this beyond just the hormone timing. During the day, you're surrounded by input, conversations, tasks, movement, decisions to make. All that occupies your attention and quietly competes with unresolved worries for mental bandwidth. At night, most of that input disappears. The distractions fall away and suddenly, there's nothing left competing for your attention except whatever's actually unresolved underneath. It's not that nighttime creates new anxiety. It's that nighttime removes the noise that was previously drowning it out during the day. I want to go a layer deeper here because I think this is the part most anxiety skips entirely. Your body has two major branches of what's called the autonomic nervous system, and they work in opposition to each other like two hands on a dial. One is the sympathetic branch. This is your alert and ready system, the one associated with elevated heart rate, faster breathing, and a general sense of activation. The other is the parasympathetic branch, your rest and digest system, associated with a slower heart rate, deeper breathing, and the physical state that actually allows sleep to begin. Under chronic or unresolved stress, the dial tends to get stuck leaning towards sympathetic side, even in situations that don't call for it, like lying in bed, in a safe, quiet room, with nothing actually threatening happening. Your heart rate might be slightly elevated, Your breathing might be shallower and higher in your chest rather than deep and low in your belly. And your brain, picking up on these physical signals, essentially concludes that something must still require vigilance, because why else would the body be in this state? So it keeps generating thoughts, scanning for problems, trying to resolve something, anything, to justify the physiological alarm it's sensing. This is why simply telling yourself there's nothing to worry about so rarely works in the moment. You're arguing with a thought, but the thought was never really the source of the problem. The physical state was. This is also, I think, why breathing-based practices show up so consistently after sleep and anxiety research, even though they can sound almost too simple to matter. Slow, deep breathing, particularly breathing where the exhale is longer than the inhale, directly stimulates the vagus nerve, a major nerve connecting your brain to several organs including your heart. And doing so activates that parasympathetic, rest and digest branch. It's not a distraction technique the way counting sheep is. It's a direct physiological lever. You're not trying to think your way calm. You're sending your nervous system actual, measurable evidence that it's safe to downshift. I think it's worth being honest about something here too. This isn't instant, and it isn't magic. A nervous system that's been running in a heightened state for weeks or months don't fully reset in the 90 seconds at a moment. You might be lying there running through a work email, or replaying a conversation, or worrying about tomorrow's schedule. But if you paused and asked yourself honestly, would solving that specific thought right now actually change anything? Often, the answer is no. The specific content of the thought is almost incidental. Your nervous system is in an activated state, and it needs something to attach that activation to, so it grabs whatever's available, usually whatever felt slightly and resolved earlier in the day. I don't say this to dismiss what you're thinking about. The worries are often legitimate, but understanding that the intensity you're feeling is coming from your physiological state, not from the actual size of the problem, can be genuinely useful. A work email that feels catastrophic at 1 a.m., viewed through an activated nervous system, often looks completely different, smaller, more manageable, once you've actually calmed that underlying state and view it again in daylight with a regulated body. This is part of why sleep on it has survived as advice for so long. It's not mystical. It's that your evaluation of a problem is deeply colored by your physiological state while you're evaluating it. I also want to mention something about avoidance, because I think it matters here. A common response to nighttime anxiety is trying to distract yourself away from it entirely, scrolling on your phone, turning on a show, anything to stop the thoughts. I understand the impulse completely, but this often backfires in a specific way. It keeps your brain cognitively engaged and often exposes you to more light and more stimulating content, both of which work against the very state you're trying to reach. You end up further from calm, not closer to it, even though in the moment it feels like relief. What tends to work better, based on what the research actually supports, is fighting the thoughts or drowning them out. It's changing the physiological state underneath them, directly through breath, through body relaxation, through signals of physical safety, and letting the thoughts settle as a natural consequence of that shift, rather than as something you achieve through sheer mental effort. The mind calms down because the body did, not the other way around. If you've made it this far into the video, I want to take a moment and invite you to subscribe to this channel and come back tomorrow night. This channel exists to walk through exactly this kind of thing, one honest explanation at a time, not quick fixes, but the actual mechanisms behind why your nights feel the way they do. If tonight's explanation has helped anything click into place, subscribing just means you'll be here for the next one too. Now back to where we were, because there's one more piece I think matters, and it connects everything together. I mentioned earlier that cortisol has a natural rhythm, high in the morning, low late at night. But there's a related pattern worth understanding. The size and timing of your cortisol response the following morning is influenced by how well and how deeply you slept the night before. Fragmented, shallow sleep tends to be associated with a less healthy cortisol hit the next day, sometimes blunted, sometimes irregular, which can make you more reactive to stress the following evening, which can then interfere with that night's sleep too. It's a loop. A poor night doesn't just cost you that one night. It quietly primes the conditions for the next one to be harder as well. I think this explains something a lot of people experience but rarely articulate: the sense that once nighttime anxiety starts happening a few nights in a row, it seems to build momentum, almost feeding itself. That's not your imagination, and it's not weakness. It's a physiological pattern with real mechanisms behind it, which also means it can be interrupted with real mechanisms, rather than requiring some enormous act of willpower to break through. This is part of why consistency matters more than intensity here. A single perfect night of relaxation techniques won't undo weeks of an activated nervous system, and I don't want to oversell that to you. But small, repeated signals of safety, slow breathing before bed, a consistent when-down routine, addressing what's genuinely unresolved earlier in the evening rather than at midnight, accumulate. The loop that builds momentum in one direction can also build momentum in the other, given enough consistent, gentle repetition. There's a version of tonight where you close this video, get into bed, and your mind does exactly what it always does: races, loops, refuses to quiet down. That's allowed. This isn't about fixing everything in one night. But there's another version, one where, before you get into bed, you take just a few minutes to breathe slow, in through the nose, a longer exhale than inhale, not because it's a magic trick, but because you now understand what it's actually doing to your nervous system underneath the surface. One where, if a thought arrives insisting it needs to be solved right now, you gently remind yourself, this intensity is coming from my body's current state, not necessarily from the true size of this problem. Let the body settle first. Your nervous system was never broken. It was only ever doing exactly what an activated system does, searching for a reason to justify its own alarm. Understanding that doesn't make the anxiety vanish overnight, but it does change your relationship to it, from something confusing and shameful into something explainable and workable. Maybe tonight, that's enough of a start. If this helped you understand your own nighttime anxiety a little more clearly, share it with someone who's been telling you they can't turn their brain off at night. Chances are, nobody's ever explained the actual mechanism to them either. And if there's something specific about your nights you'd like explained this way, leave it in the comments. I read everyone. I'll see you tomorrow night.